So about the necromancy. This video is very short, did it in one sitting, but I wanted to talk about this image because we just talked about ritual for like 40 minutes in the last video. We got some lengthy updates from Clancy, and this map over here, and the outside music video. This channel assumes you are familiar with all of that. Look at this diagram. It would like us to believe that this symbol with the antlers and the person hung by their feet is what the side represents. The ritual for seizing or possessing a recently vacated human body. Let's review our discussion of ritual. What is happening here with all these choices that Santa makes? Well, essentially, he's carrying out a ritual. All of these things are quite literally things he found in the woods. The things he calls orb emitters, the ornaments, are not protecting his space through radiant cosmic rays. They're just sitting on the tree. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that he believes they are. Or maybe what matters most is the things that he is willing to do to carry out his beliefs. The bad, the good, and the weird. The reason that I'm calling this a ritual is because the outcome is either symbolic or greater than the results that you can actually pull out of the tools you have. Like, this is a tree and some ornaments. This is a type of magical thinking, or delusion if you're nasty. Assuming this is a Bandito plan because they want to seize one of the bishops to destroy the city, I personally think resorting to necromancy should give one pause. Like, aren't you also doing something the bad guys are doing? And if what Clancy says in his letter is true, that he was possessed by bishops, if free will is not on the table, then he's not responsible for any of his actions. If his choices are not his own, there's nothing compelling him to develop as a person. Also, if you could destroy this city by just, going to the beach and doing an antler dance, why did they spend years going to Trench? Fortunately, I think all of this is bullshit, because Tyler's character is tripping balls. Friends, please don't ever accept a drink from a stranger, especially if those strangers are people you literally found in a cave. It's Monday now, the video came out Friday, and recently Tyler liked this tweet comparing chlorine to the outside video, so I think our takeaway is supposed to be this is chlorine, but they very clearly staged it like an ayahuasca ceremony. They even got a nice little South American looking woven basket. Ayahuasca is used in medicine and I think religious ritual in South America. It's also called spirit root, and it is a powerful hallucinogen known to produce out-of-body experiences, which is exactly what is happening to Tyler. Sidebar, these mushrooms painted into this Ned Missing poster are also hallucinogens. He is not, in fact, in the summer heat. He's tripping balls on a frigid beach. And look, I'm not here to assign a moral character to drugs.
Welcome to try us, but try not to need us.
We'll be your snow angels, don't make us your demons.
There's a cultural history there. I don't know shit about shit, so just do you. Now I saw that breaking the light made fire come out of it, but when they look back, I don't really know if the city itself is supposed to be on fire. Clancy/Tyler says in his last letter, "We will destroy and rebuild." Since the city has always been represented by a white circle, or like your skull, I'm not super sure you should destroy that. I feel like you need it. But as per Hometown, the fire and the bones are obviously in play, so it looks like we're gonna watch that play out. I'm pretty psyched. However, I would caution that I'm not sure these are the Banditos as we know them. Years have passed. Aside from, the necromancy, who knows how much the original message has been distorted. Remember this? It actually reminds me of this scene from Fight Club when Tyler Durden, who is the hallucination, leads the soldiers that he has recruited into a horrific car accident under the guise of some lesson about freedom or something. As our unnamed narrator sleeps, Tyler says these things to him.
In the world I see, you're stalking elk through the damn canyon forest around the ruins of Rockefeller Center. You'll wear leather clothes that will last you the rest of your life. You'll climb the wrist-thick kudzu vines that wrap the Sears Tower. And when you look down, you'll see tiny figures pounding corn, laying strips of venison in the empty carpool lane of some abandoned superhighway.
Sure, that's kind of idyllic and in a kind of eat the rich new world order kind of way, but you realize as the movie goes on, it's also pretty unhinged. Now, I don't think that that is the character of the Banditos, but I think there is a risk under certain circumstances, under the right influence, they might, I don't know, start possessing corpses. That being said, do not let this damage trench for you. 1, I would bet my left foot it's temporary, or part of a process that you have to get through. And 2, nobody can take away from you the way that you believe in something, or the authenticity you pour into it, or the way that it helps you. If it helps you, it's yours. Keep using it. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this last part quickly. It probably won't be convincing, but might as well give it a shot. It is my opinion that things displayed in white on black are not to be trusted. Here's why. And yes, I am cribbing from my own Reddit post from May of last year. If you look at these two documents, it's very clear that they're either side of the same piece of paper. To see this one correctly, you have to invert it, presumably inverting the other side as well, so that it is white on black. And when we do this, we see that there is a pattern with the other black letters. This is Clancy speaking in absolute terms, an equal and opposite reaction to vialism. He's playing into its hands. In this case, he says they're asleep. They're so sure they know the truth and carry on throughout their day with the same meaningless tasks. They've forgotten to look up and to look outward, to understand that this isn't about in there. It's about out here. These inverted letters are Clancy at his most dogmatic. If you compare these to the language of the regular looking letters, the trap of his first letter becomes a rigid tomb in the inverted ones. He says the bishops have extinguished the hope that once motivated our existence. He calls the inhabitants of Dima mindlessly obedient, devoid of any trace of identity. If you compare that to the regular looking letters, whether they're typed or handwritten, he expresses confusion and some hope, but not this high on dogma righteousness. Speeding things up, the lyrics to Morph lists 1s and 0s, which is obviously binary code. He also lists them 3 times each, which is binary for black and white. You probably remember Tyler saying various times throughout the Trench era that he had to be black and white about neon gravestones, whether that's morally or in terms of clarity. Another example is Josh's Instagram stories from sometime right around when the album came out. The first letter is to Josh from a would-be extortionist / potential assassin who's saying, "Pay me $3,000 or I'll kill you." Josh responds, white on black, "$3,000 is a little cheap for my life. I'm insulted. Meet me at Starbucks. Maybe we'll become the best of friends." So not only does Josh cooperate with his potential murderer, he goes out of his way to accommodate him. You could say that this is comparable to the relationship of one black and white absolutist dogma to another.
Fortnite, he doesn't really know what this game is, and it's a perfect person to the yin to my yang.
You see what I'm saying? You probably also remember that the city was represented exclusively in black and white during the Trench era. Or if you don't, here you go. Because the Trench music videos use blue light to show the influence of Dima outside of Dima, we approached the show expecting to find blue light representing the influence of the city there also, but we didn't get that far, because we found that the city was consistently represented as black and white. Now, in the Psy era, we have the addition of pink and blue, 2 elements which are much less readily quantifiable. Where Neon Gravestones was resolute in its insistence that in some cases suicide is an ethical transgression, Redecorate it as a counterpart leads with empathy, acknowledging the life circumstances that might provoke someone to step out of their suffering in that way. If you or anyone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, you can text the word HOME to 741-741 to speak with a counselor. And yes, it is international. Couple more things before I forget them. Notice that before they went into the cave, they switched into black clothes that are bleached with those symbols. So, white on black. Or maybe kind of orangey like bleach does, you get the idea. Here is No Chances sitting in opposition to Never Take It. White on black, black on white. And lastly, for the band that was so doggedly committed to remaining a two-piece, here are the outfits of the band members they picked up. Okay, that's that about that. See you on another time.